Put 'em up, put 'em up. Well, here we are once again. Do bear with me if you notice my voice is it's a little fatigued. I had to shout a little bit at work. It was hectic. The shouting, don't worry, it wasn't bad and it wasn't out of anger, just necessary shouting. And yeah, maybe, in the privacy of my own vehicle on the ride home, maybe I just had to let a good just roar out to get through these trying times. But aside from that, before I dive right into what I think is very intriguing, for one, because Joe Rogan, I think Joe Rogan's a pretty big deal, especially when it comes to good evening to you, White Dragon. Prompt, as always, prompt and proper, sir. I envision you almost like a Alfred looking fella. You come out with your suit, maybe some tea, minus the crumpets, like, good evening, Eli. Shall we be having a rant today? String Theory Designs, hello and welcome. I remember Red Barn, right? It's good to have you back. I hope that you guys like Joe Rogan. I follow a lot of channels that follow a lot of the comedians that come out of the Joe Rogan sphere, good, bad, or ugly. And there's some things that I think are interesting to probably look at. Before I dig in, I want to say this early because people that come on in will find this interesting given the very firm stance I have taken regarding. I know I use this name and it's just in my head. I got to get over it. Regarding the Ryan Upchurch stuff and the case that he returns to, Kylie Rodney, I will say this, okay? Thanks to one of you, thanks to one of the viewers that has been around, not terribly long, but has shown a lot of love, a lot of support, and I'm super thankful. This individual sent me an email, took the time to compile a lot of information that I honestly have not been privy to. I stopped really investigating everything because I went with the consensus, which sometimes I'm conflicted. Okay, this sometimes is it can be a great thing that I can use for myself and maybe use for the streams here, but other times it could be me shooting myself in the foot. I'm never content. So when I hear case closed, we have all the answers, there's always a part of me because I don't trust the government. I don't trust the three-letter agencies. I don't trust the police. I don't trust the official reports. I don't trust anything about anything. I trust the people that I don't know on here, the people I work with, the people I would trust a stranger that just took a hit off of some crack from on the streets more than I trust the Bidens, the FBI, and the CIA combined. Like, that's, I think, where we're all at in general when it comes to our trust in it's supposed to be we the people, but we're so not represented. It's just a joke. That whole frame of mind is a joke, and they need to know we take it as such. They cannot keep on pretending that it's business as usual and the elections are going to go the way they want without our say, without hearing us, without feeling our anger, all right, seeing our sweat, all right, seeing the blood we're willing to drip, our own. I'm not saying anything crazy here. So I'm saying all that to say this, okay? It took one of you, and I'm so thankful. Remember, it's still okay to send me material, topics, evidence to sway and not persuade, just to change my mind. I ultimately always want to go to the truth. Now, I know I've been firm on where I've stood for quite some time, and I am still there. But somebody sent me a bunch of information that I have to take some time to go through diligently, and it's going to force me to revisit the case, the Kylie Rodney case, because the stuff that I just read is it's I don't have an answer, and I'm not content, and now I need to go down the rabbit hole a little bit. So to that person, I don't know if you want it to be named, so I'm going to leave you anonymous just in case. I want to say thank you for igniting that passion. It's always there. All right, I am a truth chaser. I'm not accredited. I'm not a journalist. I'm not special. I'm just a guy that wants to know the truth, because that's the closest thing to real damn currency this day and age. So, yeah, man. Okay, Truckee, and there's more than that. There's more than that. Let me see if I. Okay, you guys cannot see the. I'm going to my emails. Remember, you guys can always send me material. I don't want to say, this is like a reset to when I was agreeing with Brian Upchurch. Okay, but I will say the information that I have before me right now with screenshots and timelines, and I mean, this is some crazy shit. Yeah, all right. Since the anonymity is protected, I'm going to read some of this. Let me see. I know you are very busy. Been following your content for years now. That's so. I can't tell you how much that hearing that it's like unbelievable. All right. I enjoy your content very much. Respect, agree. Overall views. Okay. I'm compelled to share information I have found in my own out of this country, by the way. Who knows? Sometimes you have to be outside the belly of the beast to get the information you need. You know what I mean? Because from the, or, the flip side is the devil's advocate is from the inside, befriend who you must and then get what you can. But all right, I digress. Here we go. I believe this information, along with the information, this is not the topic that I have on my, on the title, but this is still Kylie Rodney stuff, and I'm going to move right on. But this is the information or the email sent. Along with the information of others brought forth will bring a strong connection to some of the answers that connects California, Ukraine, the hottest word in America right now, unfortunately. Trafficking, Hollywood, and the lucrative fictional and non-fictional victims of missing children. I wanted to reach out to you as a person who may understand why the truth means so much. Thank you. I'm grateful that you feel that you've reached the right person, because this has been my intention. So there's thank yous here, and if you want to, they're giving me some information to look up. Placer County on your own. I'll find it very eye-opening. I think White Dragon, you said something to that effect. I've heard many times, okay, outside of everything else, there is a certain comfort when you're like, all right, case closed, but there are people that are still going on with it. I haven't gotten to that point yet. This is the closest. If it's brought to me, I will look into it. Okay, and I'm going to omit some of the stuff here. Okay, I'm going to skip that one. First is a table of population from 2 years ago versus now okay, interesting. How could okay. I think this is connecting a lot of the things that perhaps Ryan Upchurch has extended, like regarding the Maui fires and trafficking. And here we are, some of the names that we've heard many times. Xana May and Brian Laundrie's name is here. There's some pictures in front of me. There's a strange one that I'm very tempted to show, but I can't until I do my due diligence. Okay, I will say it's Icked Mail. I'm looking at some of this for the first time. Interesting. Okay. All right. So I know, like, I'm edging right now. I'm not meaning to, and I'm looking at the graph and the info sent to me with the population numbers. I'm so sorry, guys, that you have no idea what I'm talking about. But I'm doing this in real time from 2010 to okay. So that's going to be for the next live. Eli revisits the coveted Rodney case. All right. Let me close that. And sorry if I got you hooked with that. I want to show you where we're at now. Okay, but thank you very much to the secret person that sent me the info. I rely on those of you that have that same passion for the truth. Always and forever. That's the only way we're ever going to have anything or do anything that matters, is if we have that same passion. So here's what I want to propose before I hit play. Okay. Oh, what's up, Barb? I saw you in the chat. Much love to you. Big love to you. Joe Rogan's a big deal, okay? Now, I put in the description, we went from, years ago, right? Alex Jones, he exposed Bohemian Grove and politicians and the political elite and the Hollywood elite were embarrassed about it and they wanted nothing to do with it. Now, still, like I've made this very clear, to this day, I don't know how we went from that to where Alex Jones confronts the politician. I probably couldn't even find it on YouTube right now if I tried. I'm very tempted. Where the man, this old man, actually runs away. First, he's like, "You signed a gentleman's agreement not to talk about that." Runs away, jumps over a bush. That was something that people were hiding from, and now it's public and it's humor. So how did that happen? Like now, Kid Rock can joke about being at Bohemian Grove, a creepy simulation ritual that it simulates. I believe because I've watched it in its entirety. It seems to simulate sacrifice, human sacrifice, and I believe it seems to be a child, and they are invoking the name Moloch, and now it's funny to talk about, and I don't know when that happened. And now here's the second time, and this is where I'm going to really respect and ask for any of you that are here to let me know how you feel about this. I might skip the intro. I don't know if you guys know who Joey Diaz is. If I were to ask any of you, hey, do you feel bad at all for Harvey Weinstein or Dan Schneider? I hope I'd get a resounding hell no. I'll tell you who I do feel bad for, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm going to always stand on the principle of what I believe in, okay? This ain't the first 4 months of my YouTube on this channel. Louis C.K., I think he got canceled. He's the only one that showed sincerity in being apologetic. I think he's done his time and he's talented enough and he's done his penance, whatever the case. I don't think he should have lost almost everything. But anyway, Weinstein, piece of shit. Yeah, so okay. Basically those and Diddy right now. This is a great time to be talking about this. So these are the kinds of behaviors that they come to us at some point. We get to hear about it. But why is it okay for, say, one of your favorite comedians or somebody that's friends with, like, Joe Rogan? And if you like Joe Rogan, you might be more defensive about one of his guests that you've seen many times talking about behavior and stuff it was wrong then. And where I'll never get it right is, since it was maybe a couple years ago or so, does that mean they don't have to go through what a lot of other people do? I mean, still, it's this. I don't want to call it cancel culture, but it is what it is. People get in more hot water on YouTube with channels like mine for less. Okay, there's people that will hate me forever because of an act of harm that I thought about committing but did not. And that's an old story I've told too many times. It just won't go away. So with this, here's the introduction. If you're not familiar with Joey Diaz, here's a little brief intro. Bear with me. Let me make sure everything's nice so you guys can hear them crisp. Let's go.
So many different stories.
What are you gonna do?
They're like best friends.
We're not involved in them.
I'm
I
not
was
involved.
never at Diddy's party. I don't even know the motherfucker.
We're out
I don't
here
want to know nobody.
telling
I don't know
jokes,
nobody.
telling jokes,
Like I told you,
having fun.
that's it.
Yeah.
Smoking, cracking jokes, making people.
That's
Everything
it.
else is background music. I just want to do stand up.
What a twisted web some folks weave.
So the latest episode of JRE features Joey Diaz. He's appeared on the podcast.
Want to say shout out to Podcast Cringe. I watched their channel. This is their material. I'm invoking fair use, and I supplied the original link if you'd like to see it without my not as attractive voice. Feel free.
Cast over 60 times, dating way back to 2010 when he made his first appearance on episode 25. He's obviously close friends with Joe Rogan. They originally met at the Comedy Store back in the 90s, and he truly is a unique character in the whole Rogan universe, right? Stand-up comedy tends to attract some pretty strange cats, and Joey Diaz is no exception. He immigrated to the US from Cuba with his parents, his dad kidnapping and aggravated robbery.
His dad passed away when he was 3 years old. He had some School of Hard Knocks. He did have a mother. I'm going to try to maybe skip through some of this. And I'll mention this, okay? When he was a young man, as you see here, he got popped for kidnapping. Let me get this right.
And he went to prison on a 4-year sentence, but was released.
There we go. I'm at the right spot, thankfully.
Aggravated robbery, and he went to prison on a 4-year no good as a teenager and then as a young adult. He eventually got arrested for kidnapping and aggravated robbery, and he went to prison on a
See, good thing I corrected myself there.
4-year sentence, but was released after serving only 16 months. And it was actually in prison where he discovered stand-up comedy. Whenever the screen projector wasn't working during movie nights, he would perform stand-up routines for all the inmates. Even still, though, it would take him a few years more to build the courage to actually go and do stand-up in a club and pursue it as a career.
America's
I think that's a beautiful thing, by the way, even though, I mean, he did his time. He did his time, right? He got out a little early, but what a beautiful thing. You know, a convict found another chance and got to get into stand-up comedy. You know, that's one of those American dream kind of things. And he's going to express that gratitude here, that humility. But he didn't have that humility when he talks about some of the things he's done. He's been very open about it. And I'm curious, given everything that's happening in the news cycle and pop culture, is he going to find himself in trouble for being open? And is that a double-edged sword? I don't like, you know, having to hide things I've done, but then again, I haven't done anything as bad as that. So, all right. Again, you guys are the judge.
beautiful, man. Where else can a felon with 2 strikes? I got 2 strikes. My next strike is life, right? They give you like 20 years if you have 3 strikes. I told him, suck my dick. Even when the feds were looking for me in 99 for that gun, I wasn't copping. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know, man. I'm not doing it. This is the path I'm taking. I don't know and I never got in trouble again, Joe.
But it was back in the 90s that he would meet Joe Rogan and become very close friends with him. Rogan often comments that Joey's the funniest guy he knows. He absolutely loves him, which has definitely helped to put Joey on the map, especially with all his appearances on.
Brief interruption. Joey Diaz here used his YouTube platform, pretty large, to very openly, very publicly threaten the life of a YouTuber who is just very critical of Joey Diaz and some of his friends. Not so much about this stuff, but in general. And Joey Diaz, threatened his life and his family, and, you know, that's the kind of stuff, like, I'm surprised there was no blowback from that. So, again, I don't know. Some people, I don't know how they end up flying under the radar for behavior that gets other people completely canceled, arrested, or what have you. But nothing happened in that case. But there's more.
JRE. And so on the latest episode, he recalled how the comedy scene pretty much saved his life. He was stuck in a life of crime, he had addiction problems, and just generally lacked purpose and direction.
You know,
It's time for me to get set up for therapy.
Bear with me, because after this ad, I'm going to skip to where he very comfortably talks about the
you
crime.
need something to get you out of there.
Yeah.
And 25 to MC. But you fall in love with what you're doing. Dude, 418, 420. My wife was tying my shoelaces. You know how embarrassing that is?
Wow.
Not fucking embarrassing
Got,
that is.
got an inspiring story, but my question is, you know, if there were a scale and we looked at all of the good things that somebody did, and if some of the bad things, if there's not a lot, but in this case there's enough, if they're just that despicable, that deplorable, you know, who decides if that gets a pass or not?
So he's definitely turned his life around from all the crime and drugs that he grew up with. But over and above all, he credits his comedy family for providing the backbone to lift himself out of that life and make something of himself.
Family is family. Comedy family is comedy family.
Yeah.
Bro. And that's what these motherfuckers will never, ever understand.
The people that don't get it will not get that because they haven't experienced it. But we're lucky.
To cheer for each other.
Yeah.
And that's what
Help the
I do want to get to the point. I don't want this to be this is why Joey Diaz was a legend hour. Feel free to look him up. And now from what I can see, this is the clip I'm looking for right here. So listen and listen well, and then let me know your thoughts in the comments, please.
Funniest comics find an audience. Here's the thing, though. Nah, just let me show you.
She's lucky she paid 100. I had girls sucking my dick and giving me coke from Chewy. You think I'm fucking kidding you? Fuck yeah, you gotta suck my dick to get up in the belly room. I'll make a call for you. That's the fucking gateway into coming to Hollywood. Everybody knows that.
How many girls did you have do that?
Oh, 20 of them. I had this little blonde open mic chick dog that used to come up to the Comedy Store with a 20 and just take me up to the belly room and suck my dick and go do the set. She was tremendous.
Wow.
She finally freaked out. When she got to Hollywood, bro, she was beautiful. And when she left, she had dirty, her nails were dirty. And then a year later, she wrote me a letter to the Comedy Store. You sucker, you broke me.
So let me just paint the picture real quick, okay? Not an advocate of cancel culture, but this man, he may have turned his life around personally away from a life of crime, but he is laughing about how a woman reached out to him who he used and abused in Hollywood, promised her more time on the stage and all that for sexual favors. And well, that happened a bunch, and somewhere a year later she writes a letter saying, hey, you bastard, you broke me, and she's a shell of her former self. Apparently this woman was very talented and would open for him, but only if she performed the way he wanted. And he's admitted to at least 20 women that pretty much served their function like that. So my question, maybe definitely not as bad as Epstein, not as bad as Weinstein, or maybe, I don't know. Isn't it almost the same thing? Currying favor and swinging your dick around with that, because you have the energy and the name, and people want to be a part of that. So you use people like objects. And in this case, it's, as he admitted, 20 women, one of which completely had a breakdown. And they're all laughing about it in the moment. And I get it, in the moment, you're not thinking of all these things. And maybe there's hindsight. But you're going to also hear Joe Rogan become a complete hypocrite because he hates people like Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein and all these bastards and P. Diddy, that get drunk with their power. And at some point, I'm convinced if you get rich enough, you are completely disconnected from a certain part of humanity. I am starting to believe that without a shadow of a doubt.
I kept shooting balls in her fucking ear ball every time she went down. Vaya pa la pinga.
So if you weren't able to follow there, this was way back in 2011, less than 2 years after the first JRE episode went live. And Joey Diaz was telling Joe Rogan and his producer at the time, Brian Redban, who's now part of Kill Tony, about how he used to coerce young female comics into performing favors for him, and in turn he would give them access to the Belly Room, which is part of the Comedy Store in LA, through some of his contacts. He also said that one female comic in particular would later write to him complaining that he broke her after getting washed up and spat out by Hollywood years later. Now,
by the way, there is never a detail about when it's young women. He had a thing for blondes. What is young? Do we have a baseline here? Are we talking 18? Are we talking 20, 21? Some of I think details matter, But, and there's a lot of just young women and young people in general that would kill for an opportunity. And a lot of people, look, we see what people do to get that ultimate taste of fame and celebrity, anything short of selling their soul. Look at the people suing P. Diddy and the things they did and allowed themselves to have blackmail out there. Just in the lawsuit for P. Diddy, there is literally a transcript of him promising a Grammy to a man as long as he performed anal. That's the kind of shit we're dealing with.
that's obviously a clip that most Joey Diaz fans will find difficult to watch and would perhaps prefer to forget about, but unfortunately, things get worse. You see, For some reason, Joey has a fascination with predators and predatory behavior, and he likes to discuss it openly on podcasts. Back in 2020, he was on JRE. He was explaining to Rogan how dirty the LA scene is, how corrupt it's become. And as more and more information comes out about the things that have been going on there over the years, the picture has become clearer. And he brought up a specific example of just how rotten LA is, except what he describes is almost exactly what he confessed to just 9 years earlier on the exact same podcast.
It's just disgusting people out here. This is,
Yeah.
between the Big Rom documentary. Did you see that one?
I didn't see that.
That
Yeah.
filthy fucking animal getting women to suck that.
That's right. Ron Jeremy is another one. I mean, even a porn star with all the access to women he would ever want, and still that wasn't enough. It's the power. He wanted the power. And that's what a lot of these sick fucks end up falling for. They want power over their objects. They don't want the human beings that they're involved with to even feel like human beings. They want them to feel like objects. Now, please, again, do not misread. I'm not advocating for cancellation. I'm advocating for critical thought, and I'd like to see what your thoughts are on this. Please, I'm desperate to see the feedback. I appreciate anybody that engages with the channel, with me, because sometimes I feel like I'm in a sea of my own thoughts. So I do appreciate if you're able to come out of the bushes and just share a little bit if you're willing.
In 90-degree weather, 6 yoga session. That's just cruelty to animals. You could put you in jail for just sucking that. Harvey, all that shit happens here.
So, like I said, Joey seems to have this deep fascination with predatory behavior, even after admitting that he himself engaged in similar behavior with over 20 women during the 90s and early 2000s. He even went into detail on JRE back in 2018, giving Harvey Weinstein strategic advice on how to get off his charges based off what he would do in the same situation. And what I found so interesting about all of this is how he automatically identified with Harvey Weinstein. Rogan actually asks him why he thinks Weinstein would do this, and Joey basically explains that it goes back to his own experiences living around criminals and being one himself.
It's very interesting.
Now, this I find very disturbing because to me, this is the mind, these are the words of a man that was prepared to get caught for specifically the kind of crap that Weinstein had face up for. So check out his amazing advice. And it's, by the way, it's definitely the advice like your Democratic lawyer would give you, or your liberal, I should say, your liberal lawyer. Like, listen to this shit. And it's genius. Honestly, it probably maybe would work.
This Harvey Weinstein case is going to go. Right now, he has Benjamin Braff as an attorney. And if you see what happened, Benjamin Braff pushed for a dismissal. And he didn't get it. The lawyer said, the judge said a trial date. Harvey Weinstein's going to go throw more money to pay off time. Harvey's going to go for time. Then he's going to fire Benjamin Braff and show up with 2 women, primarily one black and one Asian, or one white and one Asian. And this is when this trial is going to get very interesting.
How do you know he's going to do all this stuff?
Because I know this is what I would do. I know if you come to me and you go, I'm getting busted for this, what do I do? Because of how I grew up around those people, this is
What do most criminals, career criminals, predators, what have you, what do most of them have, aside from their motive, aside from their sick fantasies? What do they all have? They have their exit strategy, right? So this takes me into the mind of somebody I've been a fan of for a while, wasn't super aware of all of his history and background. And I also, I understand he was in comedy in the 90s, in the business, in Hollywood. It's a dirty place, a skeezy place. I don't know if that gives you, a complete pass to just become one with the swamp or anything like that. But if you have this whole strategy on how you would find yourself weaseling out from serious charges like this from demeaning, women like objects. Something spells, not all there. Not something's not right. Something's not built right or wired right in the brain space. That's what I get from this.
You do. So I'm going to go in there with either a black woman, an Asian woman, or a white woman. My first two choices are a black and an Asian woman.
You want to get the diversity
I
angle?
want to get the diversity angle, and I want to get that you're saying that because you're a black woman, Chinese woman. What I'm trying to stare at. Did you ever really watch The People versus O.J. Simpson?
No, I didn't.
Very interesting.
But it's funny how Joe Rogan, on the other hand, is so disgusted by guys like Harvey Weinstein, even after laughing uncontrollably at his buddy Joey Diaz's open confession years before. So let me just clarify something before I move on and show you this next clip. I'm not suggesting that Joey Diaz is the same type of person as Harvey Weinstein. I'm only going off his own words from 2011, which I'll discuss in more detail towards the end. But the point of showing you this is to point out the hypocrisy of somebody as powerful as Joe Rogan, who laughs off his own friend's predatory behavior, but then clutches his pearls at how someone like Harvey Weinstein was able to get away with his actions for so many years without so much as a whisper.
And this is where I would hope that you accept being the judge, jury, and everything short of the executioner. Listen to Rogan's outrage here regarding the monsters that we've briefly touched on. Okay, and now his very friends are talking about similar behavior. It's all funny, but check this out.
Been
How
away
many
with
years
it
is
for
he
so long.
doing?
20-something years.
Is it?
Nobody
Yeah.
would do that.
20-something years.
Yeah.
And might be more, right? They got cases
Well, there's way
in
more
LA.
cases. Yeah, there's way more cases. This is just what he's been convicted for.
Right.
I mean, he apparently was behaving like that for decades.
So
and
you're telling me
decades.
nobody knew?
They knew. They all knew. That's what's crazy is it's worked into his fucking contract.
It's,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
amazing.
It's
But you know what else?
They're all complicit. And there's a thing called diffusion of responsibility where there's too many people involved. You don't feel like you're responsible. You don't feel like that's what, when they say it's easier to assault someone in front of 100 people than it is to assault someone in front of one person.
Yeah.
Because one person might step in and stop it, but 100 people will sit around and go, someone's got to stop this.
Gotcha. You know,
I think from what I
I
understand,
don't
part
think
of
he
it.
needed
I
to
think
do
that's part
this.
of it.
I think
I
it's his ego, and
I think that's too.
like
I
Bill
think that's it,
Cosby
too.
was the same thing.
Yes. It becomes a pathology. And I think there's also a thing about power. It's a power thing to have power over people.
Sure.
For me, this is
How can he have such self-awareness about this in this topic and this behavior and not apply it, or even like call out his buddies or something? This is where I see hey, it's rules for thee, not for me and my buddies and my circle. That's the kind of hypocrisy that has damned our country, with two parties that serve nobody but themselves, albeit I'll say the GOP does, at least the MAGA crowd within the GOP is doing a lot more in search of facts and the truth, minus my own qualms with some of the things like religion, versus the crazy radical liberals and everything. They want to rewrite biology and science. So anyway.
is where Rogan starts to fall apart. He's happy to provide a running commentary on Harvey Weinstein and all of his crimes. He's even brought up some disease that Weinstein has that led to deformities in his junk region. If you've ever heard him talk about it, you'll know what I mean. But my point is, as a basic concept where there's a guy in a position of power and young women who are impressionable and desperate for fame and attention, Rogan makes it clear exactly what his position is.
The casting couch in Hollywood, if you stop and think about it, right? You've got all these women that want to be in films, they want to be stars. Then you got these guys that can actually help them, make them stars, but they want something. And then you set up this dynamic that's existed since, the fucking 20s.
Imagine what it was like back then.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
Well,
So is that not exactly what his buddy Joey
You should read Judy Garland's book, by the way, or there's a documentary. Judy Garland recorded everything she could as she was getting older, and my God, like the stuff that she explains and that she went through with her mother in the studio. They both got I remember the story, like I'm actually I memorized this. They're both taken into separate rooms by executives at whatever studio, Paramount, MGM, whatever, And Judy Garland, being at the age of 12 or something, or 9 or 12, within that bracket, this executive, this Hollywood executive at this huge studio, lets his clothes just drop off him. And nervously, not knowing what to do, she laughed. That nervous laugh that just came out because she's never seen a naked body before saved her, because it pissed off the executive and he told her to get the hell out. So on the car ride home with poor Judy and her mother, they both ask each other, "Oh, so what happened? How did it go?" And Judy shares this with her mother, and the mother, they're able to laugh at this, like, this is sad. And she said the same thing happened to me. I'm not saying that the mother laughed and that it was the same thing, but I'm sure the mother probably declined. But that's what was going on back then. That's in the book and in the documentary. So I don't know. As much as things change, things always still find a way of staying the same.
Diaz confessed to, even bragged about on his very own podcast. Like, what am I missing here, right? Was Joey just doing a bit when he said all that stuff years ago? And if it was a bit, where was the funny part? See, this is what I'm sick of when it comes to Rogan and his circle jerk of comedy brain groupies. A lot of these guys made a name for themselves by calling out the establishment for putting up barriers and controlling access to their audiences. That's classically what Hollywood did, right? Rogan smashed that bubble into pieces and showed how you could go directly to your audience without all the middlemen and the suits clipping the ticket. And he brought his friends along for the ride. The problem is, as most of my regulars will know from my extensive coverage of the Rogan universe, these guys are no different to the establishment that they've replaced. And it's not about politics or culture wars or anything like that. It's about double standards when it comes to the new elites versus the old elites, covering up and ignoring their own behavior, while at the same time pointing out how bad guys like Diddy and R. Kelly and Harvey Weinstein are. The list goes on, right? We saw this with the Bobby Lee Tijuana story, and then all the times he went on morning talk shows and harassed the female hosts and pretty much got away with it. Why? Because he's a comedian and it's just a bit, apparently. I guarantee you the same thing would happen with Joey Diaz. If he ever had to actually answer for what he alleges he did, he'd end up claiming that he was just doing a bit, it was for the camera, he was embellishing a story, and that's what he does, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, they'll sit there and tell us how bad Hollywood is and how the system breeds this sort of behavior when that's literally where they came from.
Yeah, you gotta sit my dick to get up in the belly room. I'll make a call for you. That's the fucking gateway into coming to Hollywood. Everybody knows that.
How many girls did you have do that?
Oh, 20 of them.
Yeah.
Cat Williams called it at the beginning of the year that there was going to be some pretty crazy revelations this year, and all this stuff was going to come out, and it's going to shock everyone. So far, it feels like he was right, and it seems people are becoming less and less willing.
By the way, there are currently Cat Williams tickets being sold for my neck of the woods, and by Jove, I think I'm gonna buy them. I'm gonna buy 2 tickets. There's a show in Miami coming up. You only live once, right?
Willing to excuse this kind of behavior. And just remember, you can't use the excuse that these things happened years and years ago and therefore it doesn't matter. There are some limitations on civil actions, and a lot of what Harvey Weinstein did and Bill Cosby did, even the current investigation into P. Diddy, a lot of those things happened years ago and even decades ago. I mean, look what happened to Louis C.K. He got dropped from all of his sponsors, all his deals got cancelled, and compare what he admitted to doing to what Joey Diaz admitted to himself. I don't know, guys. I'm a fan of Joey Diaz just as much as the next guy. I think he's pretty funny on podcasts, but not so much on stage, which seems to be the way with most of Rogan's buddies. But we've got to be consistent with this stuff. Being funny isn't an excuse for being a predator. He's claiming he found the right path and he loves his comedy family.
If we could establish consistency with justice on at least one side of the aisle, even if it's the replacement elites, if that's what this guy is going to narrate with, then we could look at the establishment and say, we're policing our own over here. It's about time you too, motherfucker.
Family and all of that. So why is he bragging about how he would use and abuse the very same comedy family when he was on his way up, to the point where he apparently broke some young comic. Anyway, that's my take on the whole Joey Diaz situation.
So, all right, thank you for bearing with me while, I'm not looking at the chat. I know that bothers a lot of people. So apologies, but that I just had to go through the stuff sometimes without so much as getting too distracted. John B, it's this is what I do, man. Hey, Silly Feathers, sorry if I missed anybody, of course. What's up? What? Tennessee? What's the dilly now? And you wonder why your views and subs what did I miss, man? Like, just curious. You always come in with amazing energy, and I'm going to thank you for that. I don't wonder anything. Matter of fact, I'm quite proud to stand on the foundation of the things that I truly believe. So I propose everything I think, and it's what I really think. You seem to get triggered and take issue with me saying exactly what I feel as I feel it, and I go through that process live in real time. If you're so enraged, to anybody that finds themselves so enraged every time because I just say what I really think on any matter, go ahead and hit the live button on your channel, sport, and, well, put yourself at the mercy of anybody that'll listen and watch you, and you tell me what you think. I'm sorry, Tennessee, I missed exactly which part was so triggering. Was it that I was saying I was going to revisit some of the things regarding the Rodney case, or the fact that Joey Diaz has shown some pretty wild behaviors and admitting to it? I'm sorry, but am I to infer that you're defending this? I'm sorry if you got so outraged, but you can see your way out if it's that triggering. So I'm eager, once again, to any of you that find yourself with the ability to go ahead and say what you feel regarding the content. All right, what do you think? Like, is it a double standard? I am still a diehard Joe Rogan fan. I am mostly a Joey Diaz fan. All I'm asking about are the very actions that are toppling other individuals. Is there a double standard? Do we apply them to these people as well? Like, why is it right for this person and why is it not right for that person? I mean, who is making the rules, or are we all just freestyling without a clue in the world? And that's what I preach. That's the gospel I preach. I'm preaching the gospel of we don't know. We're just doing the best we can on this floating rock in infinite space. Okay? And that's the best we could hope for, that we get something right. But getting triggered and then, oh God, you're a fake because you sometimes change your opinions and you don't like somebody you used to like, or maybe you like them again. Oh God, how are we going to ever evolve in a world where people change their minds? Well, thank goodness I changed my mind about being a Democrat, bro, right? Because now I'm Trump 2024, baby. If you want me to go back and regress, well, you're going to have to find another channel for that, son, because it's about evolution here. Stay devolved. That's enough attention on that matter. String theories, I'm glad I could give a good old belly laugh. Hey, Nicole, what's up? Good to see you. I'd say so. Even Charlie Chaplin had a pretty bad reputation for his behavior. I mean, this is not too shocking to me to hear. Hold on. All right. I love, I still to this day, even over a year, I will go back, watch my own live, and read every single comment. Everything you guys say is always seen by me. That is, you have my word on that. I just can't help it. I think the thing with Rogan is that he's known Joey for, they're best friends. They're like family, absolutely. And I think Joey has grown, so Rogan doesn't seem the same. Agreed. It doesn't make Diaz's actions okay, just in my opinion. So I find myself absolutely aligned with you on this matter. I am not trying to advocate for cancel culture. I just am curious, like, how do we as a society feel? How do you feel? I propose things so it can elicit a reaction and a response, be it good, bad, comfortable, or uncomfortable. A response is important. It reminds you that you're alive. Sometimes we need that reminder. And I'm always passionate about the truth. I'll give this to Joey Diaz. At least, maybe him sharing these stories was cathartic. Maybe it was him showing he's grown. I don't know. That's why I'm posting it. I was trying to remember Tracy Lord's name. That name sounds very familiar. I think she is the first woman who went from not the good age porn star to Hollywood. There's a lot of those. Usually goes the other way. You guys familiar with this Playboy article that was out in the 70s? Times have changed. I think there's some progress in some areas, and some things are just people pretend that they have changed. But I forget the model. I remember there's YouTube stories about it. You can Google articles about it. But there was a model that I think we all grew up with in the 90s or so. I'm gonna get this as right as I can. In the Playboy of the late 70s, it was not in the 80s yet. They did an interview with her, and this is gonna be a little cringy, but this girl was 13 years old, and Playboy allowed for her to, Playboy it was the classy version, right? She had no bikini on, and they showed her buttocks. 13-year-old girl, and there's snippets from the articles that shows you the transcripts of what was originally written there. That was talking about what natural young beauty she has and how much more beautiful she's going to be. But there's it's cringy, right? So I'm pointing that out just to show the underbelly of what is always going to be disgusting to us. It's a sign of progress that shit could never happen today, this day and age, even though Cuties is still on Netflix, right? So I don't know. When I say there's progress, I find myself wondering, is there though? So I don't know, at least in Western standards, that's not acceptable. And there is this YouTuber named Sneeko. He's a piece of shit. He defends Cuties, that deplorable show, because he decided to be Muslim, I believe, to completely grift on his audience and focus on Muslims that donate to his channel now. Sneeko is his name. And he says, but it has to show you all these terrible things just so it shows you that they go back to Allah. I'm not even going to get too much on the Nation of Islam. I have my own qualms and issues with all religions, but I know I wouldn't have an issue at being vocal at the passages that say it's okay to lie, cheat, steal, and unalive a kafir. A kafir is what all of us would be considered. Hey, holy crap! Hi, LNC. I hope you're doing well. By the way, I haven't seen you in a bit, but well wishes all the way. Yeah, I said it, dude. Oh Jesus, what was I just on, guys? Yeah, no, Sneeko is wrong about a lot of things. Oh yeah, thank you, Infidel. All right, so Infidel, Kafir, we're known as Kafirs and Infidels. We get the best of both worlds. So, and remember, I worked for a Muslim boss. We're still close friends. What was crazy, though, is to this day and back in that day, we would have this open banter. I am open about me respecting my heritage, even though I am not an avid believer or believer for that matter. But, he would openly, chastise stereotypes about the Jewish people. And it's not really my style, but I had to, grow a thick skin. When I got my first job in putting floor and carpet down and tiled down with a bunch of rednecks for 8 years, I had to learn to take jokes and give it back, okay? So my point is, there are things in the Quran that just advocate way too much, that excuse way too much behavior that is completely against not only Western civilization, but basic humanity. And I think if you want real progress, you have to call that shit out. What Muhammad did, and taking all these wives and the the age of consent, and like, what stance are we? I may like anime, but I will still say I think it's fucking disgusting and deplorable that Japan has an age of consent of 13. It is okay for a girl, a child of 13 in Japan, to get coerced or get married, or and just like I will call out Japan, again, I call out the Quran and its believers and its practitioners regarding this, and all of the things of that story of Muhammad. And I don't want to speak out of too much ignorance, but I did search all the passages that bring up all this crap. The thing, just like some things in the Bible, correct me about this regarding what I'm about to quote. Is it Old Testament or New Testament, or is it still there in the Bible? I haven't read a Bible in a very long time, and I never read it to completion. But is it still there that if you eat shellfish on a Sunday, that is punishable by being unalived? Because I know that is something that it's just one of those things, doesn't age well. Mixing two different fabrics, that's another thing. See, if I'm going to talk about the Quran, sometimes I got to bring up something else just to always remain on an even keel. If you mix two different fabrics together, is this Old Testament? Did they throw it out? Did it evolve? What? That was also punishable by unaliving. So this is why I've taken some of the stances I have. And, well, the point of this whole live, what? Wait, no, it doesn't what? Hold on. I want to make sure. Are you Oh, sorry. Nope. There is SFSG. The Quran demands the D of Jews and the infidel. No, it doesn't. So I was having a conversation with my father. Remember, he is, actually Jewish, as opposed to me. I am not born of a Jewish mother. And we were talking, I was thinking about Candace Owens. He's loyal to Israel, but we both agree we're sending too much foreign aid. I made it a point. I shared a video with him about we sent $125 billion to the Ukraine, and we played the video last night. We could have ended homelessness like 7 times over. We could have given every homeless vet $7 million, like the things we could do in our own backyard. But the system, it's just so broken, because the things that we know are so wrong keep on happening, and just the elite, the powers that be, this current piece of shit administration, I'm really starting to lose hope. Like, I'm gonna vote Trump without a doubt. I hope he gets his way in. We have earned it. He has earned it. But is he enough to really shatter and break away for a path to real change, man? I mean, he was big on, busting the swamp and exposing it, and that's what got me to go from the bullshit Democrat, Antifa, BLM nonsense, communism shit, and Bernie Sanders, my old hero, calling European countries democratic socialism. No, Bernie Sanders, you bastard. You had my heart, but you were lying. Those are capitalist countries that had just larger social safety nets. Words matter. Okay, well, okay. Who's misquoting? Hold on. Yes, hey, don't get me wrong, Nick. That's why my name is Dead Progressive. My the whole shtick, the whole idea of Progressive Patriot, my old name, my old moniker, was at the time I was interested in unity, and I'd always say, look for those that the things that unify us and not divide us. And even though I did get completely red-pilled, I wanted unity still, because I inherently believed that to the core, human beings, left or right, still want some basic things, like we don't want people to starve to death, and healthcare, I think, should be a little more accessible without breaking the bank. And I don't think it should feel like we're shopping at a freaking airport when we go to our grocery store. Right? These are basic things, but the progressives hijacked the word progress, and they're holding it hostage currently. Speaking of hostages, the conversation I had with my father. So Candace Owens, I think she She got a lot of flack because I've been doing some digging. Why did she really get fired? I know it was amicable, so they say, but her and Ben Shapiro were beefing heavy, and she said Christ is Christ is king. She said that apparently on the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God and all them. Ben Shapiro is a hardcore Jew, and that would trigger him. But she was also showing a lot of sympathy and compassion to the civilians that were being destroyed in this conflict we have between Israel and Palestine, and we keep on funding it. I don't believe, like, Israel is important and it has its right to exist, of course, by God. I do stand with the fact that there's overkill occurring, but I also stand by the fact that Hamas and every radical, they believe that all Jews need to be eradicated. You know that, I mean, and I'm saying that about Hamas. Okay, I mean that's a public quote. They've been pretty vocal about that. Hey, Indy, hello there. I think you've missed a good one. I would be very, very interested. It's okay, Ellen. Take care. Take care. And I know we've delved in some stuff. Oh, what do we got here? Thank you, by the way, SVG. Thank you. Surah 3151, we shall cast terror into the hearts of those who disbelieve. So, brief story that I've told before. When I was 18 years old, and I was a DJ and a manager, blah, 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 and I had a friend, he was Muslim, and I remember I felt comfortable enough to just ask him, I forget his name, hey, dude, if there was a jihad, this was like after 9/11-ish, okay? I was like, yo, man, if there was a jihad, and because I know you're very devout, he did his 7 prayers in a day or whatever, would you off me? Would you unalive me? Because a jihad was called, and I did not provoke you, but it was called. And he just very coldly looked me in the eye, like nothing, like a lizard, and just said yes. And I was shocked at the time. I was young, and that was facing reality, and I was not prepared. And then so I kept putting that to the test. I'd make a lot of friends from all sorts of cultures and backgrounds. I ended up finding this amazing sanctuary for philosophy and intellectual conversation called the Socrates Meetings, and that's where I went. That took me to where I stand now on religion and or spirituality. It's where people of every faith and culture could go. We would pick 3 different topics from different Bibles, different religious texts, and we would just debate all of them, find the similarities, and it was a great way to, it was my original ambition and mission, to find how we could unify despite all the differences. And, well, I don't know what I ended up... Well, I walked away without the faith I had, that I grew up with. And I do believe when it comes to faith, I mean, my mom is, I guess, as strict a Catholic as anyone can be, but she's very, very open-minded on many things like quantum physics and mechanics and time travel and reincarnation. She's all over the place. I started to fall in love with Buddhism. I love the notion of finding heaven on earth and not waiting for a reward because I played nice. That's just not the way I prefer to live. And I am so grateful to every one of you that don't look at this as a flaw. That it is something because we think or believe differently is so bad that you cannot be a part of this moment, this page and channel where we all can congregate in peace and civility and hopefully reflect and show or be the example that we hope to see on a grander picture one day. So on that note, I'm just going to say I am still, hey, Nicole and Indy reuniting. It feels so good. And thank you for anybody that brings facts or information topics. Remember, I want to get back to emailing Progressive Patriot 444. I need to change that shit or make a brand new email. If you send me material I can change my mind. Okay, I've had enough ego deaths in my lifetime. I'm not so proud that if I'm presented with enough facts, I'll change my mind. But like today, as a matter of fact, I got into a stupid, silly debate with a friend of mine that is a flat earther, and I understand there's some flat earthers in this community. We're not enemies because we believe differently. You know what? You guys want to watch it with me? Let me and if you happen to believe that the earth is flat, please feel free to let me know. I did have a debate once upon a time, a couple of years ago when I was still a part of Stuck in the Middle, and it was a lot of fun. But I'm not gonna call myself a round earther. I'm just gonna say I think, look, man, it was proven that the Earth was round way back in the ancient days. One traveler explorer, I forget his name. I used to have all this information at the ready. I'm scrolling right now, by the way, to find this video. He walked half the distance of the planet. Okay, walked half the distance, and there was like a giant Egyptian-esque just pole sticking straight up into the sky, still there. He measured the shadow to 2 points. You can Google that story and you will find it, and you'll get the actual name of the dude. Okay, this guy's got a wild feed, man. This is one thing. This is one of the reasons why I'm never gonna leave Facebook. You can just you can tell a lot about a person. Just you can't judge them solely on all of this. I mean, I'm sure it depends on some areas. Okay, so it was this morning. Oh, please don't tell me you deleted it. Let me check my notifications. He laughed, reacted. Oh, is it gone? See, my issue will forever be with the people that can't handle just getting called out is not it's not a public way of shaming you. It's just I submitted like what evidence I had, what little anecdotes I have. At least stand by your own convictions, you know? Like that's at the very least you can have your backbone intact. You can believe you're right and believe I'm wrong, and we could still have respect for one another. So yeah, okay. Sorry, one more. Oh, here's a funny little meme. PETA posts a picture. Cows are friends, not food. Trap Daddy says, name one cow you're friends with, and PETA responds, your mom. Okay, moving on. Disgusting looking deviled eggs. Oh my god, I hope that was fake. Some guy missing front teeth. That's typical around these parts. And he must have deleted the... Okay. Yep, I don't see his video that was describing the flat earth and the ice wall and the hidden civilizations beneath the ice wall. Okay. Sorry. I tried. I thought it was still there, but it's gone. It's gone. No, it wasn't Galileo. Eli DJ, his music in high I am yes, in not high def, high infidelity, mother truckers. Always great to see Car Scar. I don't know if I've pointed it out enough, my friends. My God, that's 3 OGs in here. Car Scar is a gentleman that I've known for 25 years ago. No, man. He's been around for what, like 3-4 years. He was with me and Josh and our pet Adam, and then our next pet Cranston, and we had that show Stuck in the Middle and Stuck at Night, and now it's called Nothing Funny, and feel free to check it out. I'm just not there. I miss being in the studio. I felt like we were really getting good at the chemistry and the comedy, but it's been a wild ride, and I have to credit Josh forever for bringing me into this world. And if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have the guts to just hit a live button and say, oh, snap. Adam? No way. No freaking way. Is that who you are? Bro, I have missed you. Okay, so I've only been saying this recently. No, you were not a pet. I'm so glad. Oh, my God. Everybody, this is the OG hour. What brought you here, man? What the Fugees, man? Why don't you have social media anymore? Okay, that's a lot to get into. Do you still have the same phone number? Sorry, guys, a whole reunion is happening right now. You saw me live. Yeah, today I'm going live almost every night. Still a miserable little bastard, but so you have the same number. Oh my God. Okay. Do you know what I have been advertising like forever? This is the man that gave me the idea to talk about courting culture. Every time I've gone up here to bitch about social media and the internet, that's the man that inspired me. But I just haven't done a whole special about it like I wanted to because this G Money wasn't here. Would you be down at some point to still do that show that we planned a couple of years ago? Make Stuck in the Middle great again, bro. Only over here or wherever. Just if you're down, bro, you still got the same number. I'm gonna text you. Hell yeah, that's a deal. This just made my night. So not this just made my night. I'm so excited I can't even articulate right. Karscar, Barb, holy crap, SVG that should have given it away. Broshevik, that gave such Adam vibes. Should have called it. And I'm glad you were here to with the passages. Indy, Ellen, by the way, and Nick C. Don't recognize you, but you're always welcome. Ajot and Nicole Strings. I just want to say, just stay away from the diddler, P. Diddy. Tennessee royalty, it's okay that you get triggered every time you come here. It's okay. We accept you. We accept you. Silly Feathers, thanks for dropping by. White Dragon, I know you're not quite like as I said. You in my mind, you're like Alfred. You're in a suit and you're ready. And you're like, good evening, sir. Shall we have a rant today? No. I don't know what image I have in my head. You literally are just you're a blue dragon in my head, but it says white dragon, which inherently makes me racist by today's standards. So now 2024 has initiated cancel dead progressive right now. And Barb, by the way, I think now I said your name twice. Now it's all out of whack. Everybody, thank you. This is my catharsis. This is my therapy. I don't monetize because this means way more to me than anything else I got going on. The full-time job is slowly sucking away my life force, but you guys, you make it all worth it. So much love. I gotta come back after doing some research thanks to a lovely viewer. If the viewer in here is, I don't want to call you a viewer, the human being, the friend that sent me the information that has me re-inspired to look into a little bit about the Rodney case is comfortable with me giving credit to whom you are, please say so, and I shall do so. Salute to you, Twisted 10. Much respect. And it was good to see our mutual go back up. I have been very critical. Like my last, I did a whole vid, and it's no secret that how this channel came to where it's at, and now that I have turned on the individual in recent video, I think the last one I did, there has been a little fallout, but I've made it clear I would rather stand for what I really think, believe, than stand for what I don't. And I did that for 4 months of my life, and it was a very damaging 4 months. And it was necessary, though, to go through this little metamorphosis to find my fucking balls, and to find the conviction in what I truly believe, and being willing to put that up to whomever is willing to challenge it. So with that, stay armed, stay dangerous, ever vigilant, be ready for anything. It's going to be a wild ride. Good night, everybody. Adam, be on the lookout for your phone.